Chidester, MD. Chit Chat with Chiddy.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Chit Chat with Chiddy, MD. I'm Jerry Chidester. I'm a plastic surgeon and a hand surgeon in Salt Lake City, Utah. And today we are now doing, this is season 2 of this podcast and YouTube channel. We are now on to episode 3. And last time we had one of our friends on, Cheryl. She came and talked to about, we talked about medical tourism, and she went and had gastric sleeve surgery outside of the country in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. And my first kind of impressions were that sounds like a horrible idea, but the more I talked to her, she did her research and everything went well for her. So we talked a lot about that. Now, the episode before that, we talked, and I've gotten a lot of feedback about this, the first episode of our season. A ton of people. And I think we're going to have a follow-up episode to this. So this is the story that Mindee and I shared where we stayed at the Anniversary Inn after our first year of marriage. Yep. And I've had so many people reach out to me and said they've stayed there. They have also seen doorknobs turning. One person, she told me, it was on their wedding night, her and her husband. They didn't sleep all night for reasons not related to being married, but for reasons of they were so scared. The room they stayed in was one of the themed, it was like a cabin or a country room. And she said the shower had this bucket hanging from it, almost looked like a wood bucket. And then there's holes in the bucket, so the water comes through the bucket, and that's how you shower. Well, this is 2 or 3 in the morning. Her husband, woke up, or they were awake, I don't know, and they heard water in the bathroom. So they go to the bathroom.
Follow-up episode?
Very creepy.
Yeah.
Then why are you telling all the stories?
No, I want to quit because I'm going to tell why I'm telling this. I have to tell this. Jeez. Okay.
He's so excited.
Yeah, I'm so excited.
Story.
But no,
stoked.
so she goes in there, or he goes in there, and the shower is totally on. It had been turned on. He had to turn it off, and it was not on before. And they said the doorknobs were turning, same thing, and they didn't sleep the whole night. They were freaked out. And I've had several other people. So I had one other person come up or message me and said that we should all go rent a room. So I'm on my plans. We're gonna rent the same room.
So
I was gonna
nice.
surprise Mindee. Yeah, rent the same room and stay there and record it and do another episode there. Okay.
No, thanks.
And maybe
I'm
do
not
some
going.
lives there. Ron's gonna come too
Yeah, podcast.
because I can't stay there alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would not sleep though.
The funny thing is he keeps saying he's going to surprise me. He keeps telling me
clearly
that.
not a surprise anymore.
But you don't know when. Maybe that's the
true.
surprise. I don't know
But
what
the
night.
thing is I would totally be down. It's him.
He's
it
the
was
scared
me
one.
that got up and went into the darkness of the open door.
You're the brave
Not
one.
you.
Well, I thought it was I'm not scared of ghosts. I'm scared of humans. I thought I was gonna get robbed.
Yeah.
I was gonna get murdered or
So
robbed.
Mindee, go take care of it. Go take care of it, Mindee.
So Mindee, go check.
Mindee, I'm gonna stay here. You go check. It's a robber.
Check it. And if you look at me, I don't know if you can see her makeup. I did this today, so she
Beautiful.
did it
Beautiful.
live. I
Guys,
gave her
that's
little
beautiful.
cat eyes too, first time.
Little flick.
Yeah.
Little flick at the end.
I told her a lot of times. Usually, I have an instrument around the eye. It's a knife. It's a blade because I'm doing a blepharoplasty. So I have to be a little more careful with those.
Thankfully, this doesn't.
So eyeliner pen wasn't too scary. But at first it looked weird. Go look at the photos.
It
Hey, I'll
got
give you a
very
photo, Ron. You got to put the photo of what I did to her. It looked like this
Put it on the
weird thing. It looked like Cleopatra. People were saying that, so I added eyelashes.
It got very scary.
Yeah, but this
It looks. Be honest.
I had to wipe it off.
baby white.
Just right here.
very
on my
gently.
eye.
That's impressive, though. I
All the
did.
contour.
I saw the picture on Instagram, and it looked very good. The before and after.
Yes, but it was the
contour,
middle that got very sketchy.
It got real. It got real.
So he should stick to his day job then.
Yes. Or he needs some more teaching.
Yeah, that was my first time. Well,
feel like
it's
you could be
technically
teaching
second time because I did, but you told me the first time what to do. This time you said, just do it. And you gave me a picture of a cartoon face and where I needed to highlight and contour. And
I know what you're talking about those.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to introduce everybody here today. So everybody knows Mindee, my wife. Mindee, Mindee.
Yes. It's very important, those E's.
Very important.
She's
to know.
a special guest that's here every time. And then this is okay, actually I'm going to go in order. I have my 3 siblings here today. So we have a special episode. This is the first time that we've all, our whole family's been together for a long time. Mm-hmm. Mindee's visiting in town and so is Marcy. But Michelle, so she's my oldest sister, but I'm the oldest of all of us.
People always think I'm older. I think we talked about this last time.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
because
I'm
you're
the older one because I'm the annoying one.
Yours more mature.
Yeah, annoying, mature one.
That's Michelle Pearson. So tell us quickly about your family, your hubby,
My
what
name's
you
Michelle
do.
Pearson. My husband's Brad Pearson. We have 5 kids. They're also Pearsons.
She has 2 twin little girls.
Oh, we live
good.
here in Utah.
Yeah, they're in Utah. And then this is my second sister. I'm again the oldest. Oh, I don't know how to say this.
Middle sister.
Okay, you're Mindee as well, but you spell it
Yes,
differently.
but the Y.
Mindee.
So there was a time before I was married that there were 2 Mindee Chidesters, and it got really confusing. And for some reason, credit bureaus got our credit scores mixed up, and it was a disaster. I don't know why.
I remember that. Wasn't it like a car or
It's
something?
because I was
on
trying to
your
buy
name?
my first car.
Yeah, but your credit was the
Social Security number.
right.
Exactly.
Exactly.
We don't.
and spelling.
We're not even close.
Yeah.
Birthdays are different, but we're just
Spelling's
both from
different.
South Jordan.
Yeah.
At the time,
that's
South
true.
Jordan,
Same
Utah.
city.
No, we live downtown.
Oh, so that's, I don't even know.
Yeah.
Who knows?
We're trying to justify the problems with the system, but
There's a lot of
doesn't make sense. Okay, and then briefly, maybe tell us, where do you live? All that.
I live out in the DC area. We've been living out there for a while now with my husband and my 8-month-old baby, and we both just work out there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, then my youngest sister. I'm again the oldest of the 4 of us.
We should have sat in
I say
order.
this. Remember last time it got so confusing,
Yeah,
and
it was really confusing.
Okay, so tell us. This is Marcella.
Hello, I'm Marcy Taylor, and I live in Las Vegas. I don't live in Utah anymore, but my husband, he's an intern, his first year residency. He is almost done with the first year. And then we're moving to Indiana for anesthesia training.
He's gonna be an anesthesiologist. That's exciting.
Yeah, we're really
That's awesome.
excited.
He's gonna be a gas man.
Yep, he's the gas man.
Gas man.
That's awesome.
We had Lebanese food tonight.
Speaking of gas.
Gas man. In so many ways.
Speaking of gas.
And then you have 2 cute little ones.
Yes.
How old are they?
I have a 5-year-old and an almost 2-year-old.
Awesome. They're cute. They were running around here a second ago. Okay, and then we all know Ron, Mr. Ron, and his awesome Get Lit
Festive.
suit. This is our
It's
producer.
going to be Christmas episodes for the next 2 weeks. So.
Yeah, we got the tree in the background. They're supposed to come with a dimmer, so it's really bright. I don't know where the dimmer is at. I think
It was
they
awesome.
forgot
Looks
it in the
great.
box. Yeah, that's a nice tree.
beautiful.
Because our last tree fell apart, so we had to finally get a new one. Last tree we had since
like
we
it
were
a
like
lot.
in, I think, interns in California.
Oh.
So the thing fell apart finally. So awesome. The reason they're on here today, 1, because they're never around, but 2, we kind of I wanted to talk about, and I talked to Ron about this and Mindee. My wife Mindee, not my sister Mindee. We call Mindee Mindot.
Mindot.
Because
So we can
we felt
clarify.
bad. We didn't want to like change your name though. Like we still think of you as Mindee.
We always called her
Yeah.
Mindot
But we just call her
anyway,
Mindot.
though.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
That was her nickname before I came.
True.
Okay. But the thing we want to talk about, that I want to talk about, is our childhood. Because I don't think we had a normal childhood. Not in the sense of like weird, but just different, right?
Yes.
So some of you may know that all of us grew up overseas. So we actually lived in Saudi Arabia for how long? Like, was it 5 and a
it was
half?
7 years
6
total.
years.
Like on
Yeah,
and
our
off.
dad was there for 7. So our dad was there for a while. We actually
Right.
moved back here. So I was in 5th grade. What grade? We were up in Sugar House.
I was
What
in
grade were you?
3rd grade.
What were you? Were you in
Second grade.
Marcy
I
was
was only
in
preschool.
preschool. Yeah. So it was my mom. It was our mom, and then all of us in school. Our dad was back in Saudi Arabia during the winter. Remember that winter was like so snow. It was
The
like
winter
in
of 92, and it was one of the
92.
craziest. Which, by the way, fun fact, my husband Brad, he was living less than a mile away from us at the exact
No
same time.
way.
His parents' house that he was growing
Whoa.
up in was literally right next to Sugar House Park at that exact same time.
Oh, wow.
So I was in
Guys
3rd
in the
grade.
Same school?
No, because he went to,
You go to
he was on the
the,
other side of 2100. So we went to Dilworth, and then he went to,
You went
or no,
to-
it was a different school.
Something
another side.
else. Okay.
But isn't that crazy?
Oh, yeah.
That's so cool.
He was in kindergarten. I was in 3rd grade. So it's kind of weird. We'll talk about that's a different
Creeper.
episode.
Talk about that later.
Yeah, you got to put it in different perspective. Well, at least, because you could have said I was in college and he was a junior or something, or
Right,
sophomore.
right,
That
right.
sounds really creepy.
But I'm like, we would
So I
not have
think-
known
He
each
was in
other.
middle school. She was dating in elementary.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Yeah, so that was a memorable winter. Do you remember in the back of Dilworth? I don't know if you remember. So they would pile. There's so much snow.
I was telling Brad this the other day.
Yeah, they had these snow plows, and they would just push them up into the back of the
Backstop of the.
backstop, yeah, behind the school. It built up like 20, 30 feet high.
Literally,
Yeah, so
literally.
much snow. So then we all made these slides, and it was amazing.
And we had never seen snow before.
Yes.
I remember coming out
Yeah,
in the in the back of the school and just being like, what is that? And everyone's just sliding down.
So cool.
But like, you don't have snow clothes at school, so you're just like playing in your regular clothes, and like so you return
Everybody in
from
my
recess.
class, well, Brad and I were talking about this. Everybody in my class would bring clothes and like change.
Oh, I didn't.
And we didn't have any snow clothes.
No.
I think it was just us that didn't have snow clothes.
Okay, I didn't have snow
What
clothes.
is this phenomenon?
Yeah. But everybody would like put on their snow boots, and I'm like, what are they doing? And they're just, I didn't. I was like too nervous.
I was crazy on that hill.
Were the rest of you born in Chicago also?
No, none of us were
I was born in Thailand. I was the only one
that's true.
born in.
and I was
Do
in
you
Salt
have
Lake.
dual citizen? Did you ever get a Thai passport?
So I investigated this just because I was curious, and I apparently qualify. But
you totally
I
should.
qualify. Yeah,
Hook
you just
that
have to
up.
have one
Yeah,
parent
definitely.
who was born
I know we're
or
going to need to leave the country.
Seriously,
you never know.
use those connections while you can.
And Marcy, you were born.
I was born in Salt Lake.
Yeah.
Me and Marcy are the
Was it
only
LDS? No. Yeah, LDS hospital.
I think
Yeah.
so.
yeah,
I
both
think
of us
so.
were born.
You were too at LDS. Oh yeah.
You don't remember?
No, I was like 3.
You weren't there?
I was there.
Yeah.
My brain probably
Yeah,
wasn't.
how do you not remember?
there.
You're 2.5.
Yeah. Well, so I'll put
Yeah,
it in.
start from the
I'll put it
beginning.
in a timeline so quickly. Our dad grew up in Salt Lake City. Went to high school here. Went to the University of Utah for undergrad, and then he went to dental school at Northwestern. So he graduated at the University of Utah and Northwestern in Chicago. He actually was going to go to Georgetown for dental school. He got accepted there. And then last minute, he already paid his deposit to go to Georgetown, was packed up, ready to go. And he got a call from Northwestern Dental School, said, hey, we got a spot open up. And that's where he wanted to go really badly. So he, waived his deposit. Well, he lost his deposit at Georgetown. It's a lot of money back then.
$1,000.
Yeah, this was a lot of money. And then he ended up switching to Northwestern. So he went to Northwestern, and maybe you have more details. But that's where he met our mom, was at church in Chicago at the Elgin branch or ward or something. And, our mom, so she was in Thailand, had been baptized in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints after she investigated it, and then came to the United States. Her mom was in Chicago working, I think, as a nurse at a hospital at the time. So she's coming to visit her mom and then was planning to go to school, actually in Utah.
She was an art teacher too, I feel like.
Oh, her.
Grandma?
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
I
cool.
was an art teacher
Okay.
as well.
So they met at church, and then that's where I was born in Chicago. So our dad was in dental school. I was born there. So I was about 2, I think, when we left. I was born about halfway through that. And then he started his own practice here in Salt Lake City. So he came back to Salt Lake City, me and my parents. And then that's where Michelle was born. So you were born at LDS Hospital.
Yep.
Dad started his practice downtown Salt Lake. And then why were you and Mom went over to Thailand or something? And
It was cheaper for them to have Mindee in Thailand than here.
Because I'm only 13 months younger than Michelle.
I was 4 months old when they got
Medical
pregnant.
tourism.
Surprisingly, got
didn't know
pregnant
that.
with. I asked this. I was like, "Hey, why didn't I get to go to Thailand?"
A lot of people in China now come to the U.S. to have their kids.
Because it's cheaper.
medical tourism.
Well, they do it. They do it for other reasons.
yeah.
I think.
To be
I
born
don't
in the
necessarily
US,
think
maybe.
it's cheaper, but
Yeah, it saved
that's
them a lot
cool.
of money and it was cheaper.
Huh.
It's probably nice she had help from family and
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But
People around.
she was kind of telling me when we were in Thailand recently that she came back when you were really young, like a couple weeks old. Like she traveled back here.
That's safe.
that's why I'm so weird.
And then,
April.
okay, so you were born in Thailand, came back, and then Marcy was born. So we were still in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
And you were born. I remember we were in preschool
remember this
downtown. What's the name of that
Kids
place?
Campus.
Kids Campus.
I
It's
drove
still
by
there.
it recently. We drove by
Kids
it.
Campus is still
there?
downtown. So I remember we were there, and then I think Dad or someone came, or Susan or our aunt
yeah.
picked us up, and then we went to the hospital at LDS.
I remember that.
So that's how that was
That's
kind
one
of
of
the
my
timeline.
first memories in
I
life.
don't remember that.
And then
remember
how
going to Dr.
old were
Quinn's.
you, Marcy, when we went to Saudi Arabia? Because it
Only a
wasn't
few
long
months
after.
old.
She was 9 months.
Yeah.
So you were born.
So
and
I
at
always
that
thought I was
time-
born there.
Yeah.
Yeah, George's age.
Yeah.
So our dad, he decided to go to Saudi Arabia for, employment reasons. And, back then interest rates were really high on student loans, like crazy high. Like we're talking like credit card level
Yeah.
high that we see nowadays. And so it's just, it was so hard for him here and all that stuff. So he went to Saudi Arabia. He had to go ahead of us because of the way the visas work in Saudi Arabia. It's like a work visa. So he had to be there at least 4 months before we did. So we were done here. So we ended up going to Thailand. We lived in Thailand for pretty much 4 months. We lived in Don Mueang with our grandma.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember that at all?
I do.
I do.
you remember the water festival? I remember that, or it was like the reggaeton and all that.
Yeah.
Those are like seriously some of my
Songkran.
very first memories of life.
Yeah. And like the streets flooding when it would rain. Remember that?
Yeah, they always say that like you remember things that are very like traumatic or, and that's definitely.
Leaving your home and going to another country.
Yeah, I remember the smell of our apartment when we first got there. I remember Thailand, you know, all these things at 4.
So then we moved from Bangkok and reunited with our father in Taif.
And Al-Hada.
Which is, by the way, we should explain because people ask me this all the time, like, "Oh, did you live in Riyadh?" Or that's the cool part of
That's
Saudi
like the
Arabia.
westernized.
That's like the
area,
cool,
right?
more liberal. We were in the very, very like conservative part of Saudi Arabia that was a lot like not a lot of foreigners that were Westerners, I should say.
Yeah.
So I learned that Taif was actually like a resort town for a lot of royal families because it's high up on this mountain. And it's like temperate weather. And so they had like villas and things that they would have there. I didn't know.
Yeah,
that.
like rose gardens and stuff.
Yeah.
It's really pretty. It was like 5,000 or 6,000 feet elevation.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
For a desert, you know.
Yeah, well, you can Google Maps it. It's kind of cool. You can actually see the compound or whatever that we lived on.
So when you guys were there, do you remember, did you have any restrictions in observing your religion?
Yes.
Oh yeah. So any Christian religion there, especially, I mean, I'm sure it's still this way.
Yeah.
But it's such a strict Muslim country. It's Saudi Arabia, Mecca, Medina. This is like where it all, Prophet Muhammad.
Center of it all.
That's where it's all at. So very strict. I mean, for one, you couldn't even take any religious text or anything that wasn't the Quran or something that was Muslim into the country. They'd search all your bags when you get there. They literally look through everything in your suitcase. And somehow people would sneak stuff in. But yeah, so, my understanding is, we were allowed to meet in very small groups, like tiny, like our family, like 2 other families, a couple other people.
Like 15 of us.
Yeah. And we'd meet so in Saudi Arabia, the week's a little different, like Friday is their Sunday, right? So Thursday, Friday is like the weekend there because it's just different. So we would go to church at someone's house, different house every week. On a Friday, and sometimes we had to sleep over. So far, we had to all drive like far, like hour and a half, and so we would like sleep over sometimes at people's houses. We didn't have a car sometimes. Remember that?
Yeah.
So someone would come pick us up, and then we would meet for a couple hours, just in like bedrooms and stuff in someone's house, and then we
Laundry rooms, bedrooms.
laundry. Yeah, I remember I was meeting with a guy. We had a lesson, and literally we were in like the pull open laundry room. Like it was just we
The
just
accordion
sit there. It was
doors,
like our knees were touching. Yeah, the accordion, and we would just he to give me a lesson.
Yeah.
That was
Did
awesome.
you were you able to celebrate Christmas at all during those years, or
No.
was it just like real basic?
We didn't have, obviously there's no Christmas program at school because it was an international school. So it was really cool because everybody was from a different country, literally. Like there were only a couple other American families. But we had a tiny Christmas tree that was probably
That we got from somebody else. I think
like,
that moved.
and our only decoration on it was popcorn that we strung around it.
That we dyed.
With
With Jell-O.
different colors. And that was it. That was like we couldn't openly.
It's kind of like being in
celebrate
prison,
it.
like making your own shanks and
My
Charlie
gosh.
Brown. Yeah,
Popcorn shanks, tomato.
yeah, but it really did. I think that set us precedent for coming back to Utah, and I think.
So the other day, I just want to share this memory. Michelle helped me here.
Yeah.
We went into Michelle's house and we all made sugar cookies. And I'll let you kind of go from there.
So our American grandma, because we have 2 grandmas, American and a Thai, we would come back. And so I should say this. Our dad's job would pay for our family to travel once a year. And so we would either travel to the United States and come back to Utah for 6 weeks because our dad had 6 weeks off, which is incredible. Or we'd go to Thailand. We'd kind of like switch off every other year. And when we'd come back to Utah, our American grandma, our Chidester grandma, would make us sugar cookies. And even though it wasn't Christmas time, and she would make us Christmas sugar cookies because we could never come back during Christmas time. And so that was just like a tradition we did and it's funny because it's in the summer, but as a kid, I remember it being Christmas time, but it wasn't. It was summer. And so we got to do that the other night. And that was like really special because I actually I've literally, ever since I've been married, I've been trying to find her cookie recipe. And my Aunt Susan just barely gave me a box of her recipes and I found it. And it is the best sugar cookie recipe
It
ever,
really is.
right?
It was so good.
And so I don't know, I got emotional because we actually got to make like her cookie and it smelled the same. It just like brought back so many memories of our childhood of like coming here and making those sugar cookies with her.
And she passed away in 2004, I think.
Yeah, 2004.
I love that she gave you guys like a little taste of Christmas,
Yeah.
even though didn't matter what time of year it was, but she still gave you that little.
Right.
I know. I had no idea until the other night that it wasn't even Christmas time. It was in the middle of summer. Just mind blowing.
Yeah, well, that's my memory. Yeah, that's weird. I didn't even think of that. And I didn't remember that we'd always come in the summer.
Yeah.
You know, we never did like a December.
We came home one time,
we?
I remember. It was like
Christmas?
94, and that was like the only time, because I just remember it's like when we stopped in the Amsterdam airport and we were playing
and
Donkey Kong.
there.
That's like cool at the Schiphol Airport or whatever.
Yeah, that was a really that's one of the nicest.
That was during
airports.
Christmas.
Yeah,
That was
that
our
was,
last
that was one of the
trip.
only
Did.
times
I never put
I
that to
remember.
Memory.
So this is my earliest memory. So if kids are watching this, Santa's not real. Just kidding. So we actually got.
Disclaimer.
Spoiler alert.
I'm,
Kids don't watch
You gotta put like a,
You can
you gotta
out.
edit that
Ron
and like
can
do a
edit
cut.
out.
and be
Just
like,
say Santa's real. Santa is real is what I said. I meant to say Santa's from Israel. So when we went from Thailand to Saudi Arabia, it was Christmas time. You remember? And the first night it might have been after Christmas.
I think it was
though.
after.
It was after Christmas.
But we got there, and I remember coming into our, like, it's like an apartment essentially. It was like a condo, but it's like an apartment. There's a few bedrooms. And I remember going into my bedroom. It was all new, you know, it's super late at night because we had to drive like 2.5 hours to get from the airport to our place. And I remember getting in the room, there was like a couple of toys, a few toys, and I was like, oh my gosh, Santa came to Saudi Arabia. I remember thinking that.
Yeah.
But then I was like, there's no way. Like, how the heck? This doesn't make sense, you know? So I was like, I was like 7, you know, unfortunately.
That's when you found out.
Yeah, because I kind of realized that Dad done it. But, you know, that was cool. And I remember it was the next morning, the first morning. It woke me up at like 4 or 5 a.m. because there was like the prayer call. I didn't know what that
So
was.
scary. So
the
loud.
mosque, yeah, they just,
We lived
you know,
so close to a mosque.
Oh, it was like right.
It's alarming
Literally
if you
like
don't.
almost
Oh,
like
yeah.
just like
So
2
loud.
doors down is how close we were.
It felt like someone screaming in my ear with a
So scary.
megaphone.
I remember you crying.
Freaked
I remember
me
really
out.
crying.
I was 3 years old.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Who was yelling at me?
And you'd be like walking from the grocery store and all of a sudden it would go off.
Yeah.
Like, and everyone would just like rush to the mosque in the
Yeah.
middle of like whatever.
Yeah.
And I got used to it, but it was like, I'm on 7, okay? Like, I don't remember. You guys were all super young. But I remember it was super foggy. I think I went with Dad. We walked outside. It was really cool because we're in the mountains. There's no snow, obviously, in Saudi Arabia. But there was like this fog. And it always got foggy because we
Very
lived really
beautiful.
high elevation. It was cool. It was probably in like the 50s or 60s temperature-wise. And it was really foggy. And that was like close thing we ever got to Christmas was like fog.
Every year, we had fog, and that's what I always associate with Christmas and like New Year's
fog.
like time.
Did any of you guys ever like resent being there in Saudi Arabia? Like when you first got there, you know, like a lot of kids that struggle moving new places because they lose friends or whatever. Like, did any of you guys have that kind of feeling initially?
Did you, Jerry? Because you're like the
No,
oldest.
we moved so much when I was little.
So much.
Like, I mean, when we lived in Utah, we probably like 3, 4, 5 times just by the time I was 6 or 7.
Yeah.
So I was never committed. Like, I went to elementary school because we lived with my grandparents for a little while. So I went to elementary school in Kearns.
I forgot that you did that. I was too young.
Yeah. And we went to the preschool. We lived on State Street. I mean, we were in we lived above our dad's office at one point in like this upstairs room because we didn't have anywhere, you know. So we lived all over, and then we went to Saudi Arabia. I went to Thailand. So I had no like ties to anywhere. So I didn't.
I think the hardest for me was that 1 year that you were mentioning we lived in Sugar House because it wasn't even a full year. Then we moved back to Saudi Arabia, and I was so excited to move back to Saudi Arabia because being here,
friends.
it
I
was
think it was the
familiar.
More
opposite. We
familiar.
wanted to go back to Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I wanted to go back to Saudi Arabia.
I remember it's interesting because you know how we have, did you hear how Utah's doing the NBA All-Star game again?
Yeah.
So I remember coming back here one summer and it was the NBA All-Star game and we went to the Salt Palace and we had never, this was like, I must have been 7 or something. So I remember this very well. I remember walking through the Salt Palace and seeing this girl, like an American Utah girl, and she was like dressed a certain way and I was staring at her and it was like the first time that I realized I was like, I'm not American. Like I didn't know, I was like looking at the way she dressed, I'm like, I don't know how to be American. So I didn't want to move back. I was like terrified because I was like, I don't know how to act like her. I don't know how to talk like her. And then when we moved back when I was in 3rd grade, I did not like it because I couldn't make friends. I didn't know how to talk like everyone. Everyone made fun of me because we kind of had like a weird British accent.
We did have a weird accent.
All of our
We'd say
kids-
I was
words
just gonna ask
differently.
if you-
Yeah,
Did you
because-
guys speak Thai in Saudi Arabia?
No.
I know that school was American,
No, the school
but
was
it was all like British
It was
teachers.
It was
British
international,
Yeah.
so like
Oh, it
British,
was British
English.
it was more British.
More like
That's
British
what he said
English.
that all the
Yeah.
teachers were like
Yeah,
British.
And
There
most
were
of our
no American.
friends had like British accents.
My friends were, my teachers were American.
Yeah, only a couple in the school.
Principal was, yeah.
But a lot of our friends had British
For
accents.
you guys,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah,
you
'cause
two,
they
to
were-
be so young. I mean,
Yeah.
you're only a year older.
But if
than
you
her.
watch like home videos, we do have an accent.
Yeah.
Like it's
There
very
is one.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like
very
different one.
slight.
There's one where I'm pretty young. I think I'm like 5 or 6, and I'm calling to our dad. I'm like, Daddy, Daddy. I'm like,
Father,
Peppa Pig.
Father. Let's go jump into my puddles.
Yeah, so I guess
Exactly
we
like
had
that.
we did have a not a normal Utah childhood because we weren't here for that.
Yeah.
So that's why I tell people I grew up in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Like that's my childhood. You know.
So I was telling these guys earlier, when I met him, he was telling me, my mom is from Thailand, my dad is from here. I've lived in Thailand, I've lived in Saudi Arabia, I was baptized in the Red Sea, I've traveled to here and da 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 da, all this stuff. I'm like, and we were juniors in high school at this point, and I'm like, I've been to Idaho. Like, I felt like this big.
Well, I mean, it's just it's interesting how we still came together here in good old Utah, small lake city.
Yeah.
Okay, so talking specifically about Saudi Arabia, what are your? Because we were there during the Gulf War, the Persian Gulf War, Desert Storm, like in the 90s. But what are your guys' like most memorable memories? Like, I'll ask Marcy first. Like, what do you remember like the most about Saudi Arabia? Because you're the youngest.
That's really hard. I think I was probably 6 when we moved back to the States permanently. But I remember my class it was mostly a lot of children who were from like Middle Eastern countries. So I felt like I was probably the only one from a Western country. And every day I think we would have an hour of Arabic class. And her name was Miss Fazia.
Oh yeah.
And everybody in the class spoke Arabic except for me because they were Muslim and from like Lebanon or, Egypt and places like that. And so she would do the lesson and I had no idea what she was talking about.
What is happening right now?
She's teaching Arabic. I don't know any Arabic. I was in first grade. And I don't think anybody was bullying me, but I kind of felt like people were laughing at me because I couldn't speak any Arabic. I couldn't say the alphabet. I didn't know the simplest words or,
You were different from them.
And
at that age, it's
definitely.
funny.
And so I struggled a lot. And my regular teacher, she was actually American. So she was the one that taught us. She was our first grade teacher. She took me out of the Arabic hour. And just told me to read these books, and you're going to do a book report at the end of the week. So during Arabic, I would just go sit in this corner and read books.
That's why you're so smart.
And
True.
but when I got to college, I'm like, okay, I'm an English major, but I'm going to learn Arabic because I didn't get to learn Arabic in Saudi Arabia. So I did 2 years of Arabic at the U, and I loved it. It was so fun for me. I loved. I mean, I didn't get far in it, but I loved the Arabic grammar. I don't know. You would think I'd be bitter because I was kicked out of the Arabic class.
Yeah.
But no, I loved it. And I was really glad I had the opportunity to finally learn it.
I didn't know that. Thank you for sharing that.
I don't remember that.
Idea.
I don't remember being in
I remember
class.
you. So I think it kind of changed. So even like after the Gulf War and all this stuff, it really changed the dynamic of where we lived. So, we talked about our friends. A lot of friends were from Europe, Australia, even America at first, Canada. But that shifted. As we were there longer, the hospital and the government, I think, were kind of changing like who they were bringing into the country. Because for a long time, I think, and this happened before we got there, there were a lot more quote unquote Westerners, but it changed. It started becoming more and more people from the Middle East, people from Pakistan, India. So they all spoke English still. Also professionals, like all of our friends' parents were like cardiologists, doctors, neurosurgeons, all this stuff. But it shifted, I think. And so I think that's what you were kind of seeing in your age. A lot of kids your age were not from the U.S.
Not a single one. They're all from Pakistan,
That was
Egypt,
kind of my
Lebanon.
grade too. I didn't have anybody.
Yeah, like, so I had
South
friends,
Asia,
but when we went back to Saudi Arabia, like you said, we were up at Sugar House for that year.
Yeah.
Built this house here where we're actually in right now.
Creepy.
Yeah, and then went back. I mean, my friends, even then, a lot of the European friends, they were gone.
Yeah.
But we still had a lot of good friends, from Syria. I mean, all over, from places in Africa, Somalia. So, but yeah, so that's one of my memories. What about you, Michelle? What's your...
A couple of my fondest memories, I just love that we all played with each other because there weren't a ton of children. So I'm younger than Jerry, but then we would hang out with kids that were older than Jerry even. So we kind of all just band together and we were all just friends. And we didn't have tons to do because we didn't have television.
Yeah,
like
there's no TV there.
There was no TV. Once a year
satellite.
During Eid or Ramadan. During Ramadan, they would show clips of Full House. Like clips of Full House.
And America's Smiles on videos.
Crystal Maze.
Yeah, and Crystal Maze from England.
Like
British... But I just loved Full House because that was my only connection to like American culture. And you'd be watching, all of a sudden it'd be cut off. Like they just like end the episode. Or they'd like edit it because there was like a girl in it or something. You know what I mean? Like it was very, very edited. But yeah, so I just remember that. But I also, my favorite is that we literally had nothing really to do. So we would go swimming every single day.
Yes.
Every single day. Because there was a lot of pools in the compound that we lived in. And there was a family pool because it was segregated. So women had their own pool, men had their own pool, and then a family had their own pool. And we were like the only people ever there.
It was awesome.
Remember that?
Our family pool.
That was pretty
Okay, Mindee, you can keep going. Jerry's
I'm
setting
trying to
stuff up.
think about something that you guys haven't talked about. I don't know if you guys ever come across this, but sometimes I'll be walking, or like tonight, for example, we went to Mazda's. Sometimes you have like, you taste something or you smell something and it's like the most poignant memory of something. So tonight we went and ate at Mazda's, and yeah, it was like Syrian, Lebanese, like Levant food. But like I had like, some of my best friends were from Lebanon, and I remember eating at like their home or whatever after school or whatever. And it just brought me back today, just some of the flavors and smells. We were talking tonight with mom and dad about tamis. Do you remember that bread?
Ooh, yeah.
So there's this bread, and they would cook it on this hot stone, and it's like in this brick oven, and we would go, and you would have to eat it within like 30, 40 minutes, or else it would get rock hard.
Yeah.
But when you would eat it fresh out of the oven, it was so delicious.
Smelled so good.
Exactly. And then
Still smell it.
And do you remember that Turkish pastry thing with the banana and like
I will never forget that.
I don't even know what it's called, but it's so
Can't find it. We've
amazing.
been looking for years.
So if anybody knows.
Somebody knows.
But yeah, those are some of my most
Yeah, I mean, it just
memories.
shows, I think, like, our memories of our childhood are just so ingrained in our experience in Saudi Arabia. I mean, that's like me. Like I said, like, literally, that's all I remember, And so, like, when I applied to medical school and in residency and even fellowship, I kind of carried this theme in everything that I wrote because, I thought, like, this is something unique, right? Like, not many people live in Saudi Arabia or grew up overseas, but more so it was I think the exposure we had to so many cultures early on, like that was just part of our childhood. Like you said, you go to your friend's house. Well, yeah, a lot of most of our friends were not Christian or not, they're all Muslim. But that really, I think, helped us in terms of just understanding and learning to accept other cultures, religions, and people. And so that's something I always kind of wrote about in my statements and things, and I think that's just set a foundation for who I am today, even as, and I told a story recently on a live about one of my good friends who we came back into contact with. I don't know if you remember
So awesome.
the Jolanis, but it is one of the craziest stories of reuniting with someone like ever. And maybe I'll tell it again another time on here. But in essence, a friend of ours who was there left the country because his parents were tragically killed in a car accident. And then he left the country. And then 30 years later, he comes to my birthday party in Southern California. And
So crazy.
he is now, like his father, a neurosurgeon. We ended up doing residency together at Loma Linda.
Such a great story.
All the places in the world.
Yeah. So it's just so crazy how small this world truly is, But those experiences early on really, I think, helped me and shaped who I am today and, how I treat my patients, and I don't care, like, age, race, sex, prosperity, whatever it is, It doesn't matter to me because, we've kind of seen all of that. And you can, like you said, you can band together doesn't matter any of that stuff because you can be, a ragtag team of whoever's.
Yeah.
And I think that's what kind of even here when I was in Utah in high school, I mean, all of my friends, we were kind of a ragtag group,
The
we
Goonies.
we were kind of like the Goonies. That was one of my favorite shows, by the way. And Ron's one of them. He's one of the ragtags. But yeah, it's just interesting to see how those things as a child really molded who I am as an adult today and how I perceive.
So true.
So you guys have had kind of a nomadic life to some degree, and Jerry and Mindee at one point thought they were never going to move back here, and you two are still gone. Yeah. Do you envision ever coming back here, or do you think you'll settle somewhere else, or do you think it's just kind of always move around? What do you
It's really hard. So for me, we're out in the DC area. My husband and our jobs are pretty much focused in that area. I would love to be closer to family. We've actually been living in that area on the East Coast for longer as an adult than I have in Utah. So it's kind of bizarre.
Yeah, that was weird.
I don't see us coming out in the near future. We purchased a home in Alexandria and everything, and we love it out there. One day, my mom is always harassing me about it. So
She'll never let it go.
she's like, "Oh, you can come take over the restaurant."
I think it says a lot that you've been there longer as an adult than you were.
It's weird. Yeah.
She did move around a lot though at first because of her husband's job.
Yeah. So my husband was former active duty Navy, and we moved around a lot in the country. And we've spent some time overseas and things too. But we finally settled ish. So it's good. But I love coming home to Utah. Like Utah is home too. Like every time I'm here, I'm like, it changes. Yeah. Every time I'm here, it's different. There's something new, but it's always home.
Yeah. For me, I don't really know yet. We're heading out to Indiana for 3 years. So I think we're trying to buy a house. So that has some permanence to it. So we'll probably be there for a little while. I think we're just going to go where we have the best opportunity. So we'll see in the next couple years where that is. It could be here. It could be in Vegas again or Indiana. Who knows?
But you don't have any deep desire to pick a spot. You're just happy with where you are.
I feel like I've always been good at just going where the next adventure is taking me and accepting it, having no expectations for wherever I'm going to this is gonna be horrible. I'm not gonna.
That's a good attitude.
So I think that's why it's been easier. It's not always easy, of course. It's hard to be somewhere new and make new friends, but I think I like the challenge, and it's been fun so far.
I think the other thing is once you start having kids, once you start staying in one place, it's hard to,
it changes everything.
You don't want to move them,
especially if you moved as a kid. You know what that struggle could be like, and so you don't want to put it on them unless they're young and they just don't really realize it. So.
Yeah,
I think that's something that because my husband's from Ohio and that's where he grew up, and then obviously we grew up all over. I always told myself that I would never raise my children here in Utah because I wanted my children to experience diversity and in the way that we did. And get out of the bubble. And my husband said the same things when we got married. We're like, we're never raising our kids in Utah. And here we are 11 years later. We've never moved because we love it. And I feel like Utah has changed so much compared to, Jerry and Mindee left for a few years and they came back, and I'm sure it changed a ton for the better.
It did.
In that way. So it is a better place, for your kids than it used to be, I feel like.
It did. It definitely changed a lot. There's a lot more culture.
Yeah.
So when we were at Bingham, you two, when we were seniors, you were a sophomore.
Yeah.
You two and maybe two other kids were the minority. They were full whatever they were.
Oh, there was Melissa that was Polynesian. No. Yeah, right?
I don't
anyway.
remember.
Yeah, there's literally 5 of us.
Yeah, and you two are half Caucasian.
So together we
you
made
were
one.
the minority.
Together we were one.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
The lull.
Hello?
Hello, Jay?
I know. I was trying to put it all together. I was like, oh my gosh, that's true. Yeah.
He's counting.
We never, I'll be honest, we never thought we'd come back to Utah. Because same thing like you said about, we said we want our kids to grow up in California where there is and there's definitely a lot more diversity there. But,
right.
I think the more we thought about it, the more we looked into it, it's like, well, we wanted to be close to some family and we loved it out there. We had a lot of good friends, but to be closer to our parents, all of Mindee's family is physically all here within like a 1.5 mile radius of us. They have not budged, but it's cool. It's good to be around family. I think it's so. But we were gone for 7 years, and 7 years in Tibet, and now we're back. But it's good. I think our kids, had a good experience out there too. Kind of like us in a way, like
right.
Tatum, we came back. He was what, 8? 8 or 9? 8.
8.
Yeah, we came back to Utah.
9 right after.
Yeah, like pretty much. So he pretty much like kind of like me. I mean, a little bit younger, but being out of the country. And then Miley, was pretty much raised in California.
Yeah,
we went there when she was like 5 weeks old.
Well, McKay was only there for
9 months.
10 or 11 months. But what's the funniest is out of all the kids, he hates the cold the most. Hates it. He is a boy after my own heart.
His feet touched.
He walked outside today and didn't have a coat on, and like the world was ending.
Oh, poor guy.
He was so cold.
Yeah. I don't know.
I feel like one thing I wanted to say, I don't know why, this came up in my head when Mindee was talking. I remember specifically being bullied in Saudi Arabia. I remember the Muslim kids, and I'm not saying everybody's like this, but this was just like in our school, there were some Muslim kids and they had surrounded me and a couple of the Christian kids, and they were chanting at us that we were like going to hell because we were Christian. And I remember just sobbing and sobbing. I went home because we used to go home for lunch. Mm-hmm. I remember going home and just crying to my dad because it was so brutal to like be told that as a child. I was probably 6, 7. But then I remember we moved here to Utah where everyone is basically the same religion. And it gave me that perspective of I don't want that kid who isn't the same religion to feel the way I felt because all those kids were the same religion and they made fun of me. So I don't want these kids who aren't LDS or, to feel the way I felt. And so that's just like one of those things that really, really stuck with me as a child, that has stuck with me my whole life, to just never treat anyone that way because we experienced that so like strongly as a child.
I think I was the same way as you. Like when I came back here, I almost sought out friends that weren't of the same faith as me. And it wasn't like malicious or intentional, but it was almost subconscious because I like the same way, like I grew up with friends that weren't, of the same faith as me. And there's something, we still bonded together very well. We didn't have like religion as the reason we were together. It was because we had common interests, personality, whatever. And so I think that's why like, my quote unquote ragtag team, like, we all had different belief systems, but we all got along very well because we had a good time and we weren't bad kids. I mean, some people thought we were, but we weren't. We would make videos, on the weekend, and Ron knows we made music videos, and just we had a fun time. And I think that's why, like, I felt comfortable with them, and I didn't care at all about their religion or their beliefs. And it's I think that's a big part of the Utah culture. It's like you say, go to Saudi Arabia or you go to like Thailand, everyone's Buddhist. Like there is a dominant religion and culture here, and I felt like I didn't want to be a part of that. But I think at the same time, because of that, the people in my neighborhood and things maybe thought that I didn't really believe so much in my religion because I had that. And I was like, you know what? I don't care what you think of me because I want to be friends with who I want to be friends with.
It was
and the earrings.
It was the earrings.
The baggy pants.
Super. Yeah.
It was for sure the earrings.
So I don't know if you guys like going along with this, like the experience we had in Saudi Arabia and like traveling the world, as young kids. I know for me as an adult, it definitely made me very curious about other cultures and also religions, but like cultures and places. And it made me want to travel. Like,
same.
It made me want to experience the world on my own in a lot of ways. And, like we would go, I remember, sitting in the airport in Amsterdam and being like, I wonder what it's like in Amsterdam. Mm-hmm. Like, what do people eat? Like, what do kids do at school and things? And I know for some of us, like we served LDS missions and things and like lived in some interesting places and learn different languages. But yeah, it definitely made me want to. Michelle's Paruski. But no, it definitely made me want to learn different languages and with learning a different language, being able to better understand other people and obviously food and trying different types of food, like ethnic food, because that's what connects you with other
Everything's
people.
about food.
Right. I think that is a huge part of our lives is food.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Were you two jealous of Jerry and Michelle going to Thailand recently?
Very, very, very
Yes.
jealous. Not her, but you still got to go to
I went
Thailand.
But still, we
after
wish we
med
could
school
all go together.
graduation, but just a family thing, seeing my grandma.
Yeah, that
Probably
was-
not going to be around much longer.
I don't
was
know.
hard,
After
and-
seeing her,
Was it
She
hard?
is-
Spray.
Funky in those videos.
she
Oh, you think
is-
she's going to last another
I
5, 10
decade.
years?
I think
I would not put it
I think
past
it
her.
gave her some life.
That's great.
To know, like, you guys still think
Well, I'll have
about
to go.
her
I'll have to
and-
go
We'll have
back.
to go back.
We'll just have to go
next
back
year.
every year. We'll just have to go back every year.
I'm okay with that.
Taden ate McDonald's the whole
Taden
time.
can stay.
It's a long trip.
Taden's not
Like,
invited.
it's too hot there.
No, the
It's
other
hot.
day he did say, "I want to go back to Thailand. I want to get," and he named a few things that he liked.
Like specific things off the McDonald's menu.
Yeah.
That's all he
Thai
ate while he was there.
I know.
I know my kids are begging to go to Thailand.
Airbnb every
We knew where
every
all
day.
the Burger
We'd go
Kings
down to the Robinson and get
7-Elevens. We
at,
definitely
like,
knew where the
midnight.
7-Elevens were. Hot Tatum.
Yeah.
Well, and I just wanted to say too. I'm gonna get emotional. These four are some of the most amazing people. They are very giving, thoughtful. They are so smart and very well driven. I don't know if it's the culture thing. I don't know if it's the way they've seen so many different types of people grow up. But every single one of them has influenced my life for the better. And I am so grateful that I get to be a part of their life. They are, all of them, so smart. I look up to every single one of them, even though I'm like the biggest sister. I'm even a month older than Jerry. So, but
Robert.
they teach me. Yeah, they teach me things every time I'm with them. I learn and I grow. And like even talking about, like I told Jerry I had been to Idaho. I had never had Thai food. I was opposed to Chinese food because I didn't like ham and I would only eat ham fried rice, but I didn't like ham. So I didn't want to eat Chinese food. Tonight we went to Lebanese food. That would have never happened. Like I was like Utah casseroles, meat and potatoes, and I didn't really like meat, so it was just potatoes. No, but I'm just not a huge meat eater. But I've learned, my eyes have been opened being by these amazing people in my life, and I'm just so grateful for all of them.
We love you. We're so glad you're in our
love
family.
you.
You're awesome. Yeah, I mean, this is I want to do this almost more to just kind of document too. So I'm glad when you kind of brought it up. I thought it was a great idea to kind of something we can document for ourselves. So
Your future posterity.
yeah, like this will be on YouTube and iTunes and Spotify and Google Podcast.
Are you advertising now?
It just
us.
naturally
We're
happens and naturally rolls off my thought process. But yeah, thank you. So I know you're gonna be here for a few more days. You have to go back to your busy lives. You guys are super busy. So thank you for taking the time out and letting your hubbies watch the kids for a minute to do this. Your time's precious. We know it's like you come visit. It's like everybody wants to spend time with you. And it's hard. It's so hard to divide your time, especially when you have family and stuff around.
Mm-hmm.
So we get that. So thank you for doing this tonight, and hopefully it'll be memorable for all of us.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
All right, you guys. Anything else, Ron?
Nope.
All right. Well, thanks you guys for tuning in. This is a special holiday, Christmas, Kwanzaa, whatever
Chidmas.
holiday, Chidmas special.
Get your own promotion, right?
Yeah, Chidmas. So Merry Chidmas. Just remember, so I did do our Lululemon giveaway. I met with Riley today at the mall. She got her Lulu card.
So
Express is next week. Well, I don't know. By the time this, it'll end. Oh, this ends
Did you
tomorrow.
go shopping with her, or you just happen to meet her at the mall?
No, she's from Idaho. She drove down here, not for that card. But,
I was like, wow.
to visit family.
We planned to meet her at the mall.
$200 in gas to get $100 at Lululemon.
Boom.
It's so worth it. But yeah, so Express, then we have more giveaways coming. You guys, there's a ton of huge announcements coming. I keep saying this. We're very close now to a very, very, very big announcement. So we're super excited for this. Things are so close. So in the new year, go check out our Instagram. We got a brand new logo. That's a hint at what's to come. We're super excited, and it's just going to go up from here. So thank you guys for all you 80 subscribers for watching.
You guys are awesome.
For all the other people that watch and listen, if you're bored, Again, thank you so much. This is Jerry Chidester, Chit Chat Chitty, MD. Have a wonderful night.
MD. Chit Chat with Chiddy, Chidester, MD. Specialize in hand anesthetic surgery. Kickstart my day, grab some Thai food on the way. Call me the tasteless surgeon as you watch me stuff my face. Rocket Jordans with my suit, I'm a true gentleman. BMW matted black, used to ride a minivan. Augment reality, upsize and get a lift. Give that nose a job if you really need to see it shift. Got them wrinkles running scared, kill them with some Botox. Keep your face looking fresh like my 50 pairs of shocks. Chi-town, Saudi Arabia, high school, college after you. Loma Linda, USC, back to Utah round 2. Not just simply Thai, like some creamer, I'm half and half. Watch me drop it like it's hot when you really need to laugh. 7-finger tummy tuck, everything in between. Hit me up on Instagram, create reality from a dream. Chit chat with Chitty. Chit chat with Chitty. Chit chat with Chitty. Chit chat with Chidester, MD.